if you can, right?
There we are, everybody. Hey, welcome. This is the Your Little Castle Show. Giving our production assistant offset over there, Tim. Tim, get some video of us, some B-roll, if you will. But thank you for joining us for another half hour here. I'm breaking out the pencil to start here. Take some notes about this discussion here with Todd Speciale. He is the expert in town. He came out here just for this interview. We appreciate you coming here to St. Louis to do this. Chief Sales Officer for Apex Roofing and Restoration. They're launching their office here in St. Louis. Tim, who's become my assistant producer over there, he's got the camera going. He has helped us to really expound upon what we're getting into when it comes down to it and how much you need to know. I didn't realize, man, and we've had, like I said, some experts on here, but you always learn something. You just kind of blown me away. All stuff that Todd really knows here. So we're staying tuned here for another half hour of discussion. So welcome to the show for the second half hour discussion here, Todd.
Glad to be here.
All right. Quick shout out, as we often do here. Your Little Castle has some great sponsorship. Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things. And where do you like these nice things? Well, you can't have nice things anywhere most often than in your house. So shout out to Carroll House for that. And check them out. They've helped us already with a bunch of furniture for our beautiful Airbnb that now has 23 5 stars. We're doing great. We love all what we do. But with that, we're putting on the wall some good information. I want to touch on the website just a little bit. We talked a little bit in our pregame planning between innings, between game one and game two, if you will. But the website here has really got a lot of great information. So we'll just touch on this briefly. But if you look here behind me, I'm going to actually put this up on the wall for everybody here. You mentioned it's a great resource and websites are neat. But here you get to really learn about who is doing your roofing for you before you make that decision. A lot of people, they just kind of like, call us, and they don't give you a whole lot of information. If you go to the blog page in particular, there's just so much information you guys do to really help the consumer make an informed decision and learn about what you guys really do and how you can make sure you have a nice roof and all the things that are important for that. So we appreciate you pointing that out to us, Todd. And with that, let's get in this and have a little more discussion about what else people need to know about the most important asset they all own in their home.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing about the blog and the website, it's my favorite, right? Because people can go there and learn about roofing prior to them making a decision. So here's one thing we know we don't have a shortage of in the United States. It's salespeople, right? So they're always selling something. And there's thousands and thousands of roofing companies out there. So as a consumer, how do you know who's the best roofing company for you? Well, at Apex, the blog allows you opportunity to really learn about roofing so you can sit with your loved ones and decide what the best roof is that you want. And really what that teaching does is it might not give you the opportunity to choose us, right? A lot of people are worried, like, well, if I give them all this information, they might choose somebody else. Well, we're not worried about that at Apex because a lot of companies don't do this. We want to give you all the information that you need and then talk to someone who can help serve you through your project. The nice thing about that is that we give you this information. You can take it, again, with your loved ones, sit with them and make an informed decision. But we just want an opportunity to be your roofer. And a lot of roofing companies don't do that because they'll lose business that way, right? Where website's, again, a great resource. It's not always the end-all, be-all, but the information is so you build your roof right.
Okay, yeah, you want to have a knowledgeable, informed consumer. So many people just say, I know a guy, he's going to take care of this. And sometimes it's his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
We all have wonderful brother-in-laws. I got a great brother-in-law. Doesn't do roofs, but they don't really. They're not. It's not. When you've got a company with the background you guys have, is it how many locations you say? Is it 17?
Yeah, 17, 6 different states. Yeah.
6 different states, and been around since 2009. Mm-hmm. And then somebody coming to run an organization like Todd here really makes a difference. So with that, we started off with the question. You gave me the short answer, but what is the big? Expound upon this one, if you will. What is the one big mistake most people make when deciding to purchase a roof or when they need a roof?
That cheaper isn't always more value. See, I think as consumers, inclusive of myself for a lot of years, you kind of nailed it, right? Your brother-in-law or Joe down the street that builds roofs and says, don't worry about a Carter, I got you, right?
Right.
Well, it's okay because just because they know how to use a hammer and a nail doesn't mean you're getting a great product, right? So I think what a lot of people do is they look at price too soon. I want to compare. Give me the best quote, I'll do business with you. The problem with the best quote is the best quote isn't always the best value. And I think a lot of mistakes that consumers make is that they think cheaper is better. Cheaper is not always better, okay? I'm not going to say never, right? But cheaper is not always better, and it's usually not always better when it comes to a roof. I think when you build a roof, you want to do it once. We talked about this a little bit in the previous show, and I feel like that a lot of consumers think that if they can get someone to build me a $20,000 roof when your cost is $30,000 and I'm actually saving money. Well, let's just do the math real quick. I know we did a little bit previously, but I'm going to do it real quick for you again.
Yeah.
A normal roof with storms in specific areas is going to last 10 to 12 years, okay?
Right.
Now, I know a lot of you are thinking on the show right now, oh, mine's last 20, 30 years again. I'll ask you just like I do everybody else. When's the last time you were on your roof? Probably never, right? So you don't know all the intricacies of a roof and what damage you're actually doing to the biggest asset you'll ever home. It's not just the roof that you're damaging the interior, right? There's water that comes in. And as over time it builds up, it causes a lot more issues. We kind of related that to the body, right? You only go to the doctors when something bad happens. You're being reactive, not proactive. Right. It's the same thing in pricing. So I think what happens a lot of times is people say, well, just because this one's $20,000, I'm going to go with this guy rather than Apex because it's a fortified roof and it's $30,000. And they go, well, I'm getting a 2 to 5 year warranty over here, right? But I'm getting a 20-year warranty over here. So that's okay, because if I have to build it in 10 years from now, I'll just build another one. Well, let's talk about that cost, right? Yeah. Inflation's a real thing. I think we're suffering from that as a society right now. Right. No reason to get into politics, but everybody knows that things are more expensive, right? Let's just call it what it is. Absolutely. And they don't ever get cheaper, and they're not always going to get cheaper. So we always tell people that when you look at price and you think because it's cheaper, it's a lower cost, the price is less, that you're getting a better deal, and it's not the case. So for instance, if I were to build your roof today for $20,000 and the Apex Fortified roof was $30,000, and again, that $20,000 roof lasts you 10, 12 years, whatever, you have to replace it. I always ask people, I don't give them a number, but what do you think that same roof, exactly the same build, is going to cost you 10, 12 years from now? And a lot of people say, well, $20,000 might cost me 30 or 35, whatever. Yeah. Let's say it's 25. Let's say it's less than what you just told me. In the same 20-year period, you're going to spend $45,000. So if I were to ask a consumer, put all the sales stuff aside, because salespeople lie, numbers don't, right? Would you spend $45,000 or would you spend $30,000 in 20 years? Which would you prefer? $30,000.
Lower, yeah.
All day long. What if I told you that $30,000 is a much better roof with a better warranty? It's backed by a 500-year-old company, one of our manufacturers that we do business with, where you not only have a better roof, but you have a better warranty, and it was $15,000 less than you're going to spend in the same 20 years regardless. You still buy the $30,000 roof, right? See, I think a lot of homeowners and a lot of consumers, here's the problem they make. It's $20,000 now. It's $10,000 less. So I just need to do that one because that's all I can really afford right now, right? Affordability is really subject to what people think, right? I don't know what's affordable to you and what's affordable to me. I hate even the word. That's why I always say it makes sense financially. But if people really dig deep and they look at how a roof is built, which is what the blog's for, which is what our project managers are for, they'll realize that spending a little bit more now saves you thousands of dollars later, but also saves you time and a headache. We haven't talked about this. If you build a roof once, do you want to go through that again? It's not the best thing, right? The tear off and nails in your yard, everything else, the quality control, which Apex, thank the Lord, has great reviews on. Our post-production is phenomenal. But there's a lot of times when you build a roof that it's sitting there for 2 to 4 to 5 days and you're tearing off everything, got to redo it again. Nobody wants to go through that twice. They want to go through it once. So spend a little bit more now. Get a much better built roof now and make it last longer. And you could really use the analogy to anything, whether you want to buy a Honda Civic or a Mercedes, right? What's the differences in the quality and how they're built? How long do they last, right? So I think what we have to look at is really a consumer's mistake is just because it's cheaper, I want to spend less money now, and I don't want to spend extra money now, and I'll deal with it later when the problems occur. But they forget 10 years from now, people are like, dang it, I wish I would have spent a little bit more money back then so I didn't have to do this twice.
That's that money ratio. As a numbers guy, take that 10 versus 20. Over that entire 20 years, now you've spent $30,000 versus the 20, and then you got to spend 20 again. You spend 40 in the 20 because one only lasted 10 years. So you double that for easy numbers for everybody. I'm catching on to what.
And it's never the same.
And it's
always more expensive.
And add inflation to that, which 2 to 7, 10% on top of all that. Now you've really just wasted a lot of money. Do it right the first time. Yeah,
I know that we were talking about, getting set up for this. You're saying pregame, and I know that you were going to say what's a famous quote. And I always say salespeople lie, numbers don't. So I think for me, it's a really good quote to live by, and I personally live by it, right? Because I want to look at quality and value for the money that I'm spending, and I think if consumers really dig deep and they think about it, spending a little bit more money now to have much better value, and you kind of touched on it last show. You're going to give this to your kids and to your loved ones or someone eventually. This is your retirement potentially, right? Which is 99% of America. Let's call it what it is. Their home is their retirement money. What do? They get older and they do what? They downsize. They use those money and they live off of that. That's their retirement for most people in the United States. So it also, which we haven't talked about this, adds a lot of value to your home. Like depending on the area, when you put a fortified roof on your home, it adds anywhere between 3 to 8% value to your home. So think you have a $200,000 home, 3%, it's another $6,000. You're thinking to yourself, oh, well, it's not a lot. Well, would you take 0 or 6,000, right?
Right.
I'd rather add $6,000 of value by having the best roof and last longer and the better warranty. It's just a better financial opportunity for a consumer to move forward with a fortified roof than it is for a non-fortified, and the numbers don't lie.
That word fortified, that's important. Because that to me sounds like that's when you're building an army, you're building something of any substance. You want something when you can fortify a roof. I had not heard that term before.
Yeah.
All the roofing guys I've talked to, and that just, wow. Now you've got a roof that you gave us some numbers there, 3 to 8%. That's a big difference, especially when we're talking. And you start talking about 400, 500. My house has gone from it's about doubled in value.
That's right.
And so that appreciation is applied there as well. So
That's right.
Great information. All right. Well, as we get into the technology side of this a little bit, and we've talked about the website, how has technology changed the way you guys do business? And what are some of the tools or some of the things that provide an advantage? You talked a little bit about drones.
Yeah.
Tim talked a little bit about the software that you use that kind of makes it easier to make sure that everybody's on the same page. What are some of the benefits of having this?
Yeah, I think we use some software that really allows us as a team, right, to work the most optimally. And what it does is it allows us to make sure that we're constantly contacting our clients and our prospects. I think a lot of companies miss that, right? Like, how often do you talk to your prospect, right? They're like, well, once you get the check, probably never, right? That's what most salespeople, they get the check, they got their commission, they don't. Well, Apex has systems and software that allows us and reminds us to really reach out to homeowners to say, how's everything going, right? Just a checkup. It's not to upsell. It's not to force anything on them. Just, Carter, how's it going, right? Are there any issues that we currently have? Because we don't know unless we learn, right? There's this thing called lean processing that Toyota, gentleman started the Toyota plant many years ago, the car, et cetera. It's called lean process. And what they talk about is always wanting to find problems. And you would think to yourself, well, why do I want to find problems in my organization? Because if there's nothing to fix, there's something to fix, right? Like, we're just missing it, right?
Yeah.
So we want to constantly look for issues and areas of opportunity to grow. Notice I didn't say weaknesses. We want areas of opportunity to grow. And who can we get that information from? The prospects. So we have systems in place that has given us some technology that we use to make us reach out to homeowners on a customer service base to really find out ways that we can grow to better serve them. We talk about the drones. The drones are a great thing, right? We have some extremely phenomenal technology that can really get really fine-tuned and detailed on everything, any anomaly on your roof that you really can't even see the naked eye at times, right? We can get so in-depth, it's pretty cool. And I think what a lot of people realize that, well, Todd, if your eyesight's not 20/20, which as I get older, it isn't, Carter, right?
Right.
There are some things that we might miss. Whereas a drone, when it flies over your home, it does not. And the technology we use is so cool because it can fly over your home and it can detect anything, and then it gives you a full report that you can keep. Which, by the way, we've said it before. How much is it, Carter?
Zero.
It's free, right? So free is awesome. No catch, no nothing. We just want to be the opportunity to roof your home in the future. So if we give you some free value, we might be the person you call in the future, right?
Yeah, that was key to what you mentioned earlier. And if you missed that in the first show, talk about that for a second, if you will. But that report certifies, or it gives them some kind of a equivalency to say that we can show that there is no damage at this point, if that's the case.
Yeah.
And it gives them a report verifying that. Why is that so important?
It's really important because, look, our job is to build roofs, right? We're not insurance carriers or anything like that. If the homeowner wants to file a claim, they do that on their own, right? Our job is to say, look, here's the damage, or here there isn't damage, right? And the opportunity it gives a homeowner or prospect is it allows them, if there's no damage, to have this report that has before and after. So whether Apex is the roof or not, and let's say 10 years from now, a storm comes in, right? And it hits their roof. They have a before and after of what the roof looks like that they can give their insurance company. Apex might not even be in the picture anymore. We don't care. We want to offer a free service of value to a prospect. They say, man, Apex was awesome because they went ahead and did an inspection on a roof. They gave us this amazing report. So if an insurance company looks at this report, they can say, well, this was the condition it was in prior to the storm, right? And this is the condition it is after. Now, I would ask you, Carter, do you think that's a really good tool to hand your insurance company?
Yeah, I was going to say, how often do they kind of try to get off the, clear of doing repair and say, no, there was previous damage. And how do you prove that or not unless you had somebody come and give you that kind of report? That's why I say that's so valuable. And
that's the goal, right? Is that we don't know what insurance companies are and what they do these days. We know that insurance companies can be very difficult with homeowners at times, okay? And we also know on the flip side that there's some bad roofing companies out there. It's not great on both sides, right? We at least want to set the tone that we're there to serve people and give them an opportunity to really have some value and evidence that if they do decide to file a claim on their own and they want to give this report to their insurance company, that they have a much better chance of the insurance company not being able to say that was previous damage, because you're like, no, here it is, it's in good shape, it was in great shape prior to the storm. So, and again, does Apex make any money off of that? Absolutely not. We just want to be a referral partner to say, listen, when the time comes and if you decide to file a claim, whatever you get the funds and they say yes, please give Apex a call because we'd love to be your roofer. And that's the cool thing about that report. Free value, potential client.
That's so critical. I can imagine, because I've heard that whole discussion, and I know that the insurance companies they're looking for damage that had been there from a prior storm that wasn't reported or it was not repaired, because they can say, sorry, this storm, you missed it. And we've got that kind of report. I want people to understand that's really important to have that kind of report. Call the Apex guys here in St. Louis, or if you're around the country, you can watch this video anywhere. 17 locations around the country, and take care of you guys. I appreciate that. That's
amen.
Good. Very good. All right. Well, tell me a time when you really felt like you guys helped somebody. I can imagine with as many clients as you guys have had, 30,000 clients, there's been a number of times where somebody was just left out on a limb, but you guys stepped up and took care. Can you give me an
I can tell you that we are a for-profit company, so I want to be clear, right? Again, a lot of people come on here and they try to be, look at me, I'm amazing, I just want to help people, right? Well, no, you also want to help yourself, right? We're all in business to make money.
Bills, right?
Nobody would work if they weren't making money, right? Let's call it what it is. What Apex did, and I can tell you a really recent story, we have this amazing human who is our Director of Human Resources. Her name is MK Outlaw. And she called me the other day, and she says, I have this client, right, that wants to do business with Apex. But I would just say her financial situation isn't really great. And I want to know if there's something we can do to help this person, because they were almost in tears on the phone. They don't have a lot of money. There's nothing, that they don't have really the credit rating to get approved for a certain amount of financing, while the interest rate just tearing them apart. And MK basically looked at me and she says, or she was on the phone with me, and she says, Todd, do you think we could do something to help them? And I said, well, let's talk to our C-suite team. And we did. And we served this client with helping them. I'm not going to get into the details or their names or anything, but we served this client when no other roofing company would. And we did it because we're not always in it for a profit. Apex really wants to put our best foot forward. And this was a situation where I could say, I am so lucky. And I mean this. I'm not just saying this. Anybody who knows me can tell you this. If you don't know me, you can look me up and know this. I care more about the people than I do the paycheck all day long. And we were able as a company to put our best foot forward and build this roof for this woman who is going through a severe hardship and make no money, when a lot of companies would not do that, right? There's got to be a profit. Let's make money. We got to pay this person. And I think Apex, and we do a lot of donations we can talk about later, but we do a lot of stuff for the community. But these are times I really look back and I go, man, how cool is it that I have the luxury of working with a company like this, when most companies would have turned this lady away?
Sure, I can only imagine that they would immediately go to, well, you're going to have to sell your house as is and take that deduction and lose the cost of deduct the cost for the repair, and she's out $20,000-$30,000
that she didn't have,
and take a big loss. But
that's
you guys
right.
put her in a better situation and put that place in.
Amen.
And that's good work. Man, I give some knuckles on the air.
Thank you.
Stuff. All right, man, doing great stuff. Somebody's really excited about what they hear. Hopefully, you enjoyed our information here. But however they found out about you guys, how does somebody get started with you? What's the process for somebody says, Apex, you get the job, I want to call my buddy Tim, or get one of your guys in 17 different locations? What's the process?
Yeah, just go to the website, and the number's on the website that people can see, and I will tell you that just call that number and tell them that you're interested in an opportunity with Apex and find out if we're in your area. But you can also go to the website, because all of our areas and our states are on the website. But just go there. They can submit the form, as you can see here, for request inspection. They can just say, I'm looking for a job as well, but there are career opportunities as well if people want to work with us. But I would just call that number, and they'll direct you to the right person to look for an opportunity with us. And I can tell you this, I said it earlier, we've got people making $65,000 a year. We have people making $500,000 a year. The opportunity is here. I don't care what your background is, as long as you're a good person and you haven't done anything like horrible, right? But as long as you're a good person with a good heart and you've got integrity at the forefront, we want to give you an opportunity. And I think a lot of people don't really think about roofing sales. I know I didn't 3 years ago prior to coming on board with Apex, but I was shocked at the amount of money these people were making, and they were able to serve people. So imagine you can go to work every single day and serve people and make a living. You can lay your head down at night knowing you're doing a good thing for good people, protecting the biggest asset they'll ever have, and you're working with a company that cares about culture and opportunity. When you have those two things combined, I think Apex is the perfect fit.
Amen. Well said. That's the kind of leadership. That's what we're looking to exemplify, and to give that example of people that are doing it. And it's not something that's exclusive. If you're willing to put in the work, use the integrity that's involved, and do a good job, I think anybody can achieve. You just got to have a leader like Todd here, who does a great job running the organization. They brought you in just to do that, and that's pretty neat to see the growth that you did. And the growth came because you're doing this the right way.
Thank you.
Well, what is one big challenge? If you can name any particular challenge, even if it may be something for you personally or something you've seen within the company. But I just put the quote up. It's interesting you mentioned that earlier. The struggle is what creates more growth than anything. The struggle is for real. But it's also what helps people to expand and grow. What would be one challenge you think that's made you stronger, made you better?
Yeah, I think personally and in business wise, it's just believing that what you can do is possible. right? Like a lot of people don't think they're capable. I can't tell you how many times people have come on board with Apex and they just don't believe that making that type of money I just mentioned is possible, right? Because we talk about like an amazing opportunity for income. Well, if you look at someone who's making $100,000 a year, $65,000 is them taking a pay cut, right? But if you look at someone making $100,000 a year and they make $300,000, you've just tripled their income. And I would like anybody on screen watching this, would you love it if you tripled your income?
Right.
But I think a lot of people don't believe that it's possible. I think as humans, we have this kind of like mechanism that holds us back. The mechanism is I'm only capable of so much because of my circumstances and how I was raised and my education. Well, I can tell you this, I don't have a day of college, right? I grew up in the streets and had a very humble upbringing. And if you'd asked somebody, 25 years ago, if Todd Speciale was going to be a part of helping run a $140 million organization as the chief sales officer, they wouldn't have believed it. But now you fast forward 25 years later, and if I were to tell someone that I was the guy in the streets back then, knocking door to door in humble beginnings, they wouldn't believe that either, right? So is change possible? It really is. And I think, Carter, for anybody listening to this, Apex gives that opportunity to change, but the biggest hurdle to overcome is actually believing that you can. So Apex, inclusive of myself, if you were to ask, I think, any C-suite member of our team, inclusive of the owner, what do I bring? Okay, well, I like training, I like leadership development. Most important is I like motivating people and inspiring them to believe that having that life that they think is great is actually possible. And that's the hardest thing for people to overcome, but we're really good at it.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is, again, I don't know how many times I'm going to say it, because I don't say it as often as I probably should, but the differences that we make, and the privilege I have in bringing leaders to the table here to talk about what it is that sets people apart, how they got there. Somebody coming from a background like you talk about. I mean, a lot of people, I joke about this, they think they've got it tough. They've had a rough go of it until they look around a little bit and see what other people have gone through. And if it's possible for one person to do it, it's possible for more than one. And there's room for a lot of people, as long as you're willing to put that work in and install that integrity and just make sure that you never give up.
Amen.
And that's what we like to talk about on our show here. So
Yes, sir.
Thanks for bringing that to the table. That's really cool. Well, we talked about, if you want to bring up again, what was that quote you had, your favorite quote? It's interesting because it's kind of one of those, it's like, right, this is the way it is.
It's direct, yeah.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
And if you want to explain that a little bit to people again.
Sure. I always say salespeople lie, numbers don't, right? Because if you look at the overall aspect, the majority of salespeople are just in it for the paycheck, right? They're not really there to serve people. And what we try to do at Apex, and as an organization I try to do personally, is teach people to serve. And I've said it a million times, I'm going to say it again, serve, not sell. Because again, selling has this kind of like prerequisite with it that's like, oh, they're trying to force me into something, they're trying to sell me. When someone knocks your door,
right,
they want what? Some money, right? They're not knocking your door because they don't want something, right? So I think for us, when I say, salespeople lie, numbers don't, or people lie, numbers don't, it's kind of like you really need to get down into the details, no matter what you're buying, whether it's a roof, windows, siding, soffit, it doesn't matter what you're selling. It could be, meat door to door, it could be fruit on the sidewalk. What value are you providing? And let's just do the math, right? Because again, if you really do the math, it doesn't really matter what the salesperson is saying. Now you know that this makes the most sense financially because of the XYZ. What do most salespeople do? They spew features and benefits nonstop all day long, right? They're hoping they're going to catch that one thing that gets Carter to go, okay, I'll try it, right? Well, I think with people, they try to force that on people so much. It's kind of like if you can provide value where they think that it makes sense financially to move forward and you can prove that to them in the numbers, then you're not selling them anything. They're just making an educated decision on what's best for them, right? So people lie, numbers don't. Make sure the numbers make sense, and then the features and benefits will kind of be aligned with that, right? The 20-year warranty, the fortified roof, everything that we do is just a prerequisite of that number. People say price doesn't matter. It does. If the fortified roof was $200,000 on a $100,000 home, no one would buy it, right? So we have to make sure it makes sense financially, and that comes with numbers. It doesn't matter how great of a salesperson I am. And unfortunately, there are a lot of salespeople that are great liars and not great servers, and that's the biggest problem.
I've seen that many times, and I can tell you, as you bring it up, I'm thinking, how does the numbers thing apply? But it's not just for the price. Price is one number, but you're talking about, in my case, it was the ROI, the conversion rate, all these things. But if you could present the numbers in a way, especially when you're talking about 30,000 versus 20,000, but over 20 years versus 10, and that just the financial investment there and what you're really getting in the long term, you're going to save money, make the numbers make sense to people, and then you can explain the rest of it make a happy consumer.
Yeah, and I think that that's a huge mistake, not only for salespeople, but for consumers as well, right? You have a lot of people that may not even know what ROI is, right? Return on investment. They may not know that, right? They may not know how to do the math. So I think for anybody that's listening, if you're a consumer, again, whether you do business with Apex or not, if you have a roofing company, a siding company, a window company, it doesn't matter, anything that comes to your door, start doing the math, right? And just ask them questions that will kind of reveal the numbers, because cost is directly related to value. So if you think the value is there, then cost really isn't that big of an issue anymore, right? But if the value is not there and the cost is big, then that's an issue. And I think what most consumers do, they make a huge problem with doing this. It's cheaper, I'm going to go with this guy. That's the common goal, because it's cheaper now. That's a common thing that happens across industries. It doesn't matter what you're selling or what state you're in or what country you're in. It's cheaper, I'm going to go with this one. They don't realize, they're thinking that cost matters now, but they're not realizing what it's costing them more money in the future. By spending less money now, the cost is going to be astronomical in the future, because they rushed too soon into this without knowing what the value was for the price of what they were buying.
Yes, a number of factors included in that, but in particular, I mean, just the inflation, I'll throw out a number for a lot of people, but you can see if it's an average on the low end of 3%, but that's per year.
Yeah.
So do that times 10 years, that's 30%.
Oh, yeah.
And so I imagine that's a third of the cost almost for what somebody may be dealing with.
Well, if you think about, too, what you're saying, inflation, since you said it, I'll do some more math for you, okay? So here's the thing. If you put on a fortified roof and you build a fortified roof, and it potentially saves you 30% on average of what your insurance premiums are going to be. Take what you're paying in insurance costs right now, reduce it by 30%. Over the next 10 years, add that up. How much money did I save you, right? $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, right?
Yes.
Okay, now let's take the increase in what the value of your roof went up, or your home went up, 3 to 8%, depending on the market that you're in. Let's just say 3% on the bad end. To your point, 10 years, 30%, now you've gone up even more. So now we've saved you money in your insurance premiums. You've increased the value of your home. So did we pay for that roof 3 or 4 times by doing that?
Yes.
So a lot of people like to say you're getting a roof free. I don't like using the word free, because you're still paying for it. It's not free.
Right.
But all you're doing is redirecting the same money you were already spending into getting a great roof that's going to give you a 20-year warranty that's going to last twice as long as every other roof. And you didn't spend any extra money. You just redirected the money you were already spending. And over time, we're saving you more, aren't we?
Quote unquote paid for, essentially.
That's it. Amen. Yes, sir.
It goes. That's good information. Great stuff. I love it. All right, what is one objection that people have? A lot of people get into this process and they're going, okay, I really love what you're sharing with me. I've doubled the information that can pop into my head here, but tell me, what would be the objection people have?
Yeah, it's always I can't afford it, right? Okay. So when you're talking about a roof, one of the most common objections is the price is too high, or I just can't afford it, right? And I think that if we really dive into the numbers, which we do as an organization, because we want to serve someone into a deal, we want to guide them, we don't want to force them into anything. When you show them the numbers, the real question is, what you can't afford not to, right? That's the real question, right? It's like, what do you think what's going to happen if you don't, right? So I think when it comes to price, as long as you're building value, they're not going to really worry about price so much, because you have to show them that they're already going to spend the money regardless. And I think that's where a lot of uneducated organizations want to force sales on people just because it's the best price. And they also drop price too soon. I'll leave you this last golden nugget. If people are dropping price, what does that mean they're usually dropping? Value, benefits, right? They're, I just got you a good deal, saved you $5,000. Carter, no, they didn't. Something's coming off the roof. Something's coming off something, because they're deducting something away from that, right? So I think a big objection is price. Another objection is, why should I let you guys inspect my roof? I just had someone do it. Don't worry about it, right? Well, here's the thing. At Apex, because of the report that we offer and how we build businesses, I always tell people that if you were to have cancer, would you get 1 opinion or would you get 2?
Right.
Would you get 3? Would you get 4? I know I would. I get as many opinions as possible, because I want someone to tell me what. I'm okay. I'm healthy. They made a mistake, right? That's what we look for in second opinions. And Apex can be that second opinion, and it'll also be the last one you'll need.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Your little castle show.